Welcome back to This is a Commander channel, where this is a Commander channel, and today I'm going to talk about Commander, tough rules, and cool interactions, episode 45. Today's episode is going to be part 4 in the Combat Phase series, and it will take a look at one of the newly spoiled cards from Dominaria United, and that card is Garna, Bloodfist of Keld. But more specifically, we're going to be taking a look at a part of the turn that a lot of players are unaware of. So let's take a look at what this new Garna does. She is a 4/3 human berserker for 1 black, red, red, and she has, whenever another creature you control dies, draw a card if it was attacking. Otherwise, Garna Bloodfist of Keld deals 1 damage to each opponent. So let's see how Garna may lead to some confusion during a game of Commander. For more of the episodes in the Combat Phase series, check out Tough Rules and Cool Interactions episodes 18, 11, and 9, as they touch on a lot of similar things with the combat. But this time, we're going to take a look at the End of Combat step, which is covered in Section 511 in the Comprehensive Rules. Pretty much all Magic players are familiar with the first 4 steps during the combat phase: the beginning of combat, the declare attackers, the declare blockers, and then the combat damage steps. But there is a 5th step that is called the End of Combat step, and it very rarely comes up in a game, but if you're running a Garna Bloodfist of Keld deck, then you will really want to know about it. So basically, after creatures deal their combat damage and you resolve all the things that trigger from combat damage, before you go to the post-combat main phase, there is the End of Combat step. And during this step, all players have priority passed around to them. And for those not familiar with priority, it's basically the game's way of saying, hey, you have the chance to do something now. But the important aspect of this step is that creatures that attacked or entered the battlefield attacking this turn are still considered to be attacking. So cards that care about a creature that be attacking can be interacted with still after they've dealt their combat damage. The most classic and famous case of people utilizing this is with the enchantment Reconnaissance, which says that for a 0 mana activation cost, you can activate an ability that will remove target attacking creature you control from combat and untap it. Clearly, the intended use for Reconnaissance was to let you basically maze-a-vith multiple creatures that you have so that you can safely attack with them. And then when they get blocked by creatures that would kill them in combat, you activate Reconnaissance to pull them out of combat safely. And that is still very much a quality of Reconnaissance that is very powerful. But then it can also be used to take creatures out of combat and untap them after they've already done their combat damage during the End of Combat step. So you can use Reconnaissance to basically give all of your creatures pseudo-vigilance. And then, finally, you can also use it to abuse activated abilities on creatures that you either give vigilance or they already have vigilance, as you can attack with the untapped creature with vigilance, then tap them down to use their activated ability, and then get the damage in, and then finally they can be untapped with Reconnaissance and you can use their tap ability again. So how does Reconnaissance and all of its shenanigans have to do with Garna? Well, her triggered ability cares about when an attacking creature dies. So if you have a free sack outlet out, like a Phyrexian Altar, then you can attack with your creatures, and then after they've dealt their combat damage, you can then sacrifice them in the End of Combat step to have them still get you a card drawn. Another important thing, or some other important things to note about Garna's ability, is that it has no limit on how many times it can trigger per turn, which is a common balancing type of thing that we've seen lately on a lot of cards, but not on Garna. Also, she doesn't require that the creatures be non-token. The only requirements are that they are attacking and they have to die, which means exiling them will stop the trigger from happening. I think that Garna is actually super powerful, as you'll always get something from a creature you control dying, whether it's in combat or not. You'll either get the card drawn, or you'll get damage to your opponents. So I'll be adding her to my Marchesa deck for sure, as you don't even lose life for the card drawn part, which is usually a common stipulation that we see on these sorts of effects. However, that's all I've got for today's episode. As always, I hope that all of you found this video to be entertaining at least, and I hope that a few of you even maybe learned something about these crazy rules in this great game of Magic. Have a good one. Ta-ta.